right. Hey, Kelly, and welcome to TV Disrupt.
Thanks, Sean. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on today, and I'm really excited for the session because we're going to give our audience here a behind-the-scenes look at what NBCU is doing in preparation for this year's Upfronts. But before we get into that, so as I mentioned to the audience, you've been at NBCU now, I think, for almost exactly a year. Is that right? Is it about a year?
Yep, just about it. Just a little over a year now.
All right, so give us a quick reflection of your 1 year. You've clearly done a lot there, but just give us a quick reflection on the 1 year at NBCU.
Yeah, look, I think coming into this role, solving for cross-platform measurement was the North Star. You know, when I came here, Peacock had already launched during the COVID time period, and being able to measure that growing, very important streaming audience was critically important for us to get in front of. And there was no putting the streaming consumer back in the bottle. You know, it was time to really connect all of our audience, regardless of where and how they wanted to watch our content, and ensure that we were making our content available when and how they wanted to watch it. So, you know, it's been a bit busy year. We kicked off in August with a kind of declaration around measurement independence. And that was really more about like really breaking the industry of legacy mindset, legacy thinking, and how could we move forward and usher in a brand new advertising and measurement era? And how could we bring forward a different way in which to measure our audiences? And really, it was started with thinking about how do we actually measure ads and all ads fast.
Yeah, and so you came into NBCU, you declared the measurement independence, you kicked off this monstrous RFP process, and then at your 122 event, you declared that iSpot's going to be the default currency here for this year's Upfront. So I don't want to spend a lot of time here rehashing this RFP because I think that's been covered to every which way Tuesday here, and we know you put together a great lookbook, but maybe just like literally at a very high level, tell our audience before we get into the meat here about the process and kind of the conclusions coming out of it.
Yeah, look, we thought it was really important to, you know, formalize a certification process. So that's really the stage that we're in now. At our 122 event, we announced the first set of certifications across audience measurement and audience verification, 2 of the 6 categories we issued the RFP around. And it was really about bringing full transparency. You know, that's why we published the lookbook, 25 attributes that we scored across 8 cross-platform measurement capabilities, as well as looking at the ingredients that drive the ability to get a complete holistic understanding of our audiences. And, you know, what it comes down to at the end is as we continue to have our own access to first-party data, we need to be very privacy-minded around how we work with our measurement partners with that data. And so rolling out a formal cross-certification process was pretty important around making sure that we could trust the partners that we work with, as well as ensure that the way in which that measurement is represented and reflected could be trusted, more importantly, by our advertisers. And I think that's one of the key reasons why iSpot is our first certified partner. You know, it can be summed up in that one word of trust. The top 50% of the top 100 TV advertisers, I don't have to tell you, Sean, work with iSpot day in and day out, and they have trust and belief in your measurement. And you're solving the advertiser needs that we've been hearing from our clients for many, many years. They want a transparent view of their ads across all platforms, unduplicated, in which to understand only both. They want accuracy powered by big data so that they can get granular and bring their first party data. So the way in which they target can be the way in which they get measured. And they want speed, you know, speed of insights, the ability to actually affect the plan in flight, not try to affect the next plan down the road. And so I think, what we've brought forward with a number of these tests and learns is to actually bring that type of capability into the hands of our advertisers to prove that solving for these needs is here and ready to go now, and we don't have to wait until 2024 to get started.
Yeah. So Kelly, let's just dive right into everything that's transpired here in Q1, because it's been and obviously beginning of Q2 as well, because it's been a pretty heavy lift, right? Like to get the industry's mentality to start shifting. So obviously we get past all this RFP stuff, but now is where the real action starts. So let's start by talking about probably two of the largest TV events that we have, and the Olympics and Super Bowl. So can you take our audience through, let's start with that, with Super Bowl and Olympics, some of the work that was done to introduce alternative measures and alternative currencies, and what are some of the big takeaways and big learnings from that?
Yeah, look, I think the work we did together to really turn from a pixel-based solution to true server-to-server integration was the first key step, right? So we could have always-on measurement in which to enable any advertiser to get an understanding of their delivery across any campaign that's in flight, as well as, you can imagine, historical data as we move ahead. And so I think the work we did together to really try to solve that, right? There's multiple players involved. It's not just us and NBCU, it's Freewheel, it's the ad servers, it's the multiple ways in which we serve the ads up, and partnering with all of those ad servers, as well as other partners like Conviva, who helped us on the content measurement side, is really critically important. That we are moving to a world of interoperability, and we often like to use those terms, but often we don't show a lot of proof points of those terms in true action. Here we built server-to-server integration between us, you, and Freewheel. We also built server-to-server integration between us, you, and Conviva. And not only just a one-time, but we were delivering data daily across being able to create cross-platform ad measurement and cross-platform content measurement. And I think, we learned a lot through that process. The ability to really get down to an advertiser brand level in which to map this data so you can report at a brand level takes real effort and lifting across everyone. I think we as an industry still have more to do around standardization of ad ID or a taxonomy of metadata so that we can better connect the creatives across all the ways in which creatives are being distributed. At NBCU, we've adopted ad ID. We really want to see the ad servers and the measurement companies embrace that and bring that metadata through, because we think it drives simplification across all of us to have kind of one source of truth around what it is that this ad is defined as, which is critically important when you're really working at measuring the discrete ads as we move ahead. I would say in terms of insights, Sean, I think the most interesting thing is two things. We learned a lot about our streaming audiences on these big tentpole events. We really changed up the access around the Winter Games, coming off of the heels of the Summer Games, which wasn't too long before that, and really learning how our consumers on Peacock really want to be able to engage in the games and the discovery of the games on that platform. And the results proved itself, right? We saw 66% view exclusively on Peacock or our other digital endpoints across our total reach of the Winter Games. And we, on Super Bowl, a similar trend, 70% of all streamers that were streaming were cord cutters. And so we were able to effectively reach those consumers who have effectively decided that the way forward for them to consume great premium content is to, consume that on our streaming platform. I would say lastly, by measuring the ads, we were really able to understand those unique moments. You think about the Winter Games, every second matters, to every athlete, and every second matters to every advertiser. Because at the end of the day, when you're able to measure those ad moments and those second by second, you can really understand the variance across the delivery. In Super Bowl, we saw ad variance from 22% on the highest to the lowest audience, in terms of kind of the spread of the ad delivery. And I think that's what makes this new world so exciting. We can all work together around how we want to optimize the creative, the placement, putting it into context of the right stories. Because when you can actually measure the ad delivery, you can actually do something about how to optimize it for the consumer to really have the impact desired across all of us.
And Kelly, how would you say this year was different in terms of the Olympics and Super Bowl, and really having two different measurement data sets that you guys are looking at, whereas historically there's really only one that you're looking at? So what would you say were some of the benefits and challenges of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefits is that we were seeing measurement within 24 or less hours on the content side and 48 hours on the ad side. And being able to see reach and frequency metrics that often took weeks in which to understand, we were seeing in hours, not days or many weeks. So that was a huge benefit. You could think about for our advertisers, the types of optimization we could do together, being able to see that audience across as the games are unfolding. I would say on the kind of challenging side, it's a whole new language in which to educate the marketplace on, and not just the marketplace at large, but also even our internal teams to help them understand the new narrative around the types of things we can measure when we're measuring the discrete ads. And how to speak to the marketplace about that share of voice, in terms of ad impressions. Talk about completion and interruption rates, talk about ad loads, things that historically have not been the focus when you go and read headlines about the Olympics or the Super Bowl, right? It's always about what was the size of the audience that showed up last night, often only talking about linear, not even talking about the size of the audience across all screens. So I think it's going to take some time for all of us to work this new language and this new, era of advertising and measurement we're ushering in. But I was very excited to be able to see the pickup that we started to get traction on, and the excitement that you could see around the language of the advertiser that was being amplified out to the market.
Right. So let's just get right to the excitement of the advertiser there. So let's dive into this test and learn, because I know everyone here wants to learn more about it. So you undertook a massive test and learn, of much larger than really any other test and learn that's going on in the market, where 66 advertisers across all holding companies are concurrently testing cross-screen measurement as an alternative currency. Can you take us through, first of all, what it's taken to get that off the ground, and maybe some of the top learnings thus far from the test and learn?
Yeah, look, we have over 400 users logging in. Over 2,000 reports have been pulled to date. And the users span all categories, right? We have auto, travel and resort, quick serve, pharma, entertainment, and more. And, I think the work we've done to also bring education forward of how to think about the new metrics and the new measurement has been well received. And, we recently fielded a survey to try to get a sense of, where is the industry's head at? And really all respondents, I think, in terms of what it is that we're solving for, cross-platform delivery scored a perfect 100%, right? They're all saying this solves a critical need. This is starting to actually help to affect the problem. Yes, we still have work to do, right? One of the lessons learned, Sean, as you know, is that we're working on how to feed in programmatic deals, right? Right now, we've really fed in all the direct IO deals. And so it's these types of learnings that I think are valuable in these environments to really think through how everything's evolving. The second thing that we heard loud and clear is just this independent impression verification. We've got work to do to help people understand moving from equivalized to unequivalized, because now we can measure television truly like digital, right? We can measure it at a true second by second and true exactness. So we're really moving from units to impressions. We're moving from averages to exactness. And we're moving from proxies to advertiser defined audiences. And I think this is helping to create that full consumer picture. I'd say the third thing that we've heard is, I think there's been a lot of receptivity of measurement at the brand exact ad level, but we all have work to do around how do we translate that into how people are defining campaigns and deals, you know, and to get the data to kind of roll up, if you will, or line up in the way in which, without a whole lot of heavy lifting that we don't want to put on the industry, so that we can keep at that precision of measurement at the exact brand level, but not put on a big kind of workload on the industry around, you know, how to roll all that data up. And then I would say, you know, speed of delivery has been really good. You know, Sean, I've heard comments like, you know, iSpot's come a long way. You know, a year and a half ago, there was the promise of the speed of delivery. It wasn't quite there, but now we see it fully coming to bright. So I think, you know, it's always good to get such a diverse set of categories and advertisers and campaigns and deal types, because that's when you understand, you know, where do we still have work to do? Where are things ready to go now? And, you know, I feel really great about the fact that we are in, I think, week 8 now of the final kind of test and learn office hours. And we've come a long way. And I think in general, we've had data running since February 1st to present. And I'll just highlight kind of one key stat from just one advertiser that I won't disclose the brand of the advertiser, but very large brand. And we're seeing, once again, those valuable insights that we knew about streaming audiences that we couldn't connect back to linear. And now we can. You know, for this one advertiser campaign where their total unique reach was around 65%, we're seeing almost half of that come from streaming platforms, about 32.7%. So the average frequency of that plan is also pretty enlightening when you think about how you can manage and control for frequency as we move ahead. The streaming of that plan is 2.2 versus in linear, it's around 7.8. So there's so much opportunity to drive better, efficient, and quality reach optimization when you can really measure it all. And then we can start moving from reporting it to really managing and executing together around optimizing it.
Right. All right. So let's move to the execution portion of this. We're clearly here at the eve of the upfronts, and there's a lot of change happening. I think the most stark change is the cross screen and how quickly that's evolving, and how much of the audience reach and delivery is actually starting to come from cross screen. So what can you share with the audience today about what we can expect? Because everybody's waiting in anticipation, right? Is this alternative currency real? Is it going to happen this year? Is it going to happen next year? To what degree? And so what can you share with the audience about that?
Look, I think there's a lot of moving pieces. And to your point, Sean, the industry is watching it all unfold, but we're starting to see people act and transact. And I do think that in this upfront, we're going to see the market move to alternative currencies with a full acceleration in next year's upfront. So in other words, we're going to start to set the baseline this year as change is coming, and the industry is going to adopt the new currencies that help them unlock the value that they are seeking to understand the full delivery of their campaigns across all endpoints. Because it's important for advertisers, but it's also important for the consumer experience alike. So, you know, I think we're going to see some first movers in this upfront, and people really leaning in who are ready to go and see the value, and, you know, are really heavying up on digital and want to make sure they can understand how that digital plan is delivering vis-a-vis their linear buy. And I think we're really excited.
Awesome. And so as I shared earlier from our customer survey, there's about 17% of advertisers that are ready to transact and willing and interested in transacting alternative currency. And about 50% are interested but are unsure. They want to learn more. What advice would you give to those advertisers in particular that are kind of in that state that, yeah, I'm interested in it, but I need to learn more?
Look, I would suggest that, move a percent of your spend across. We really all need to understand is what we're measuring really what matters. And I think we owe it to all of ourselves to explore the solutions, and the clock is ticking. In 2024, the currency that our industry uses today is changing, and it's going to completely disappear, which means that we'll no longer be able to rely on those same year-over-year comparisons. We're kind of starting over effectively from scratch. That's why we're focused on getting started now and not years from now. And so I think, as we work together, I think we can, start to show progress in this direction. It's going to help us solve some of the industry's most pressing problems, whether that's inflation, whether that's excess frequency, or it's just plain old waste. And so I would just encourage everyone to lean into the potential of moving to kind of true impression delivery and advanced audiences. If you're not quite ready to kind of go full across, I would highly recommend, go and transact on advanced audiences. It's such a great way to drive an ability to understand both the capabilities of onboarding and bringing your first party data, but also finding, that unique audience you're trying to reach across platforms, and start to understand the benefits of what the big data really brings to help you drive that true cross-platform optimization. And, we're open for business. We have NBC unified in that regards to kind of help bring additional insights around audience targets. And I think what's most exciting is, the day has come where using one data set for targeting and a different set for measurement is behind us. And I think that's so critically important, because in order to really help an advertiser optimize, you really need to measure the target on the same yardstick that you measure the execution. And so I think the advice I would probably give to them, Sean, is that the future is going to favor the brave and the bold. And I'd recommend, advertisers, if they haven't participated in a test and learn, get involved. If it's not with NBCU, which would be our preference, then lean into one of the other networks. We're all collectively trying to push forward really a kind of future of better measurement that's focused on the advertiser. And so if you haven't gotten engaged, don't wait, because the future is here, and the future of cross-platform measurement is ready to go for those who want to lean in.
Yeah, I really like that message. I mean, change is coming, so don't wait to embrace it, right? Because you won't be ready for it. This is the time to do it. All right, Kelly, thank you so much for being with us here today, and for all the great work you're doing to move the industry forward. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.